Welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. Today we're getting back to basics and I'm going to show you guys how I like to make my very favorite peanut butter frosting. So this frosting is a little bit different than my classic American buttercream. It obviously has peanut butter in it, which is the main difference, but it also is a lot fluffier and lighter than my normal American buttercream. And I achieve that by whipping a lot of extra air into the frosting and also by adding a secret ingredient. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how I make this, and the recipe is also included in the video description below. It's also up on Chelsweets.com. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm beginning by adding 3 sticks of unsalted butter. These are at room temperature, and I'm also adding a half a cup of my favorite creamy peanut butter. Just a note that if you do use an organic brand, sometimes it will separate and it won't make as smooth or as fluffy a frosting. But as long as you're mentally prepared for that when you're making this, you can use whatever kind you want. I mixed these together on a medium speed until they were nice and smooth. Next, I added 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I slowly increased the speed of my mixer just so that the vanilla doesn't explode out of my bowl, and then I mixed it on a high speed to get them fully incorporated. And then comes time for the powdered sugar. So since I'm using 2 cups of fat, which is the peanut butter and the butter, I'm going to be using 8 cups of powdered sugar. So the ratio generally is a half a cup of fat to 2 cups of powdered sugar. So I'm going to slowly incorporate the powdered sugar, and the bag that I'm using here is a 2-pound bag. So I'm adding this in different intervals because if you add all of it in at once, you'll get a huge explosion of powdered sugar. And that's why I'm adding splashes of heavy cream in as I do this. Another thing to note is that I don't sift my powdered sugar, and that's because I don't run into issues with clumps. If you do, you can either sift your powdered sugar before adding it, or you can try a different brand. And now it's time for the secret ingredient, which is egg whites. So these are pasteurized egg whites. I know it sounds crazy, but that means they've been heat treated, you're not at risk of getting sick from eating raw eggs, and all you need is 1 tablespoon. This makes the frosting so silky smooth, it adds such a great texture. You just have to trust me on this one. You can omit it if you really aren't comfortable, but I highly recommend adding it. So at this stage I'm adding in the last of my powdered sugar, giving it a few quick pulses just to get it incorporated. And then I'm also going to add the last of my heavy cream. Now that all of our ingredients are in our bowl, I'm going to mix it until everything is thoroughly incorporated. Then I turn the speed up to high to whip some air into the frosting. And I'm going to do one last scrape around of the bowl using a spatula. This just makes sure that all the ingredients are fully mixed together and you're not going to have any bits of frosting that are super sugary or super peanut buttery. So it's important to scrape along the sides of the bowl just to make sure you have a consistent taste throughout your frosting. And then it's time to just let your KitchenAid do all the work. I turned it up to high and let it whip for about 2 minutes, and that gave me a super luscious and fluffy texture. So don't forget, the recipe for this peanut butter frosting is up on Chelsweets.com, and I've also included the link to the recipe below. So thanks so much for watching. I promise this frosting is taste test approved, and I hope to see you guys again soon.